A leader has to take the risks.
My house is like Grand Central Station half the time over here.
Okay.
Sorry, my dog got out and the neighbor was there, but okay. So you're in Newport. You're not very far at all.
Just a hop, skip, and a jump. So I'm always down in San Diego, matter of fact. So
oh, really?
Yeah.
What do you do in San Diego?
Well, my daughter is 17. She plays club soccer. So she is always down in San Diego playing. So she's in Oceanside and San Diego and San Clemente and all these different sports complexes. So
My daughter just turned 17 yesterday.
oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's very cool. Very cool.
It's a good age.
And
You
does
have
she
one?
play? I have 17 and a 21. My son
Okay,
Max. Yeah.
17 to 18-year-olds. Mine are.
You do?
Yeah. Mine
Oh,
are
nice.
12 months apart. I had them almost in the same year. They're the same exact due date.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they were born a year and 10 days apart though. So
Very cool. Very cool. And
yeah.
so San Diego, I mean, good thing San Diego has a lot of water over there because you're like a hydration expert talking to all these CEOs, Fortune 500 companies and all this stuff. So what are you telling these CEOs and Fortune 500 guys? What are you telling them?
Well, first of all, I don't like to call myself an expert. I feel like to call yourself an expert, you need to have been doing something for like 80 years, 100 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, maybe not 80 years, but you've been doing it for a little while, right? I mean, you know your shit when it comes to water, right?
well, I have been studying science and health and wellness since I was 15. I started pre-med when I was 15, and that's been my obsession ever since. So,
Okay.
I'm only 20 now, but I've been studying for a while. Just kidding.
Yeah,
So,
really, exactly. Of course. You started
yeah,
really, really young, really
it,
young.
it's something that I've always been fascinated with, something that I think we think of wealth as money or something we have in our bank account or things that we own, but the true wealth is our health.
Of
I
course.
mean, I know billionaires who they have all the money in the world, but they feel like a prisoner in their body because they don't have ownership of that, and it's something that they feel controls them. And so health and wellness has always been something that I value and just interested in, I started in this PhD program back in, gosh, when did I start doing that? That was 2012. And when I found out that our bodies were 99% water molecules, I was like, oh my gosh, why have I not heard more about this? Since I was a kid, I hear, drink 8 glasses of water a day, make sure it's clean. You hear these basics, but nothing in greater depth, really. I shouldn't say nothing, but not a lot. And so as I started to research it and try to uncover, I realized that there was like a great, there's so much that could be uncovered, and there's so much to learn here. And so I just went into a full force with like, I want to help people understand their water body. And the more I started learning about it, the more humbled I've become and realized like I could spend the rest of my life doing this, and I'll probably never get it at the extent that it needs to be known. It's like God. I feel like there's this consciousness about it that we don't even understand. It's not just its chemistry or its physics, it's far beyond that. And so even if we, spend the rest of our lives trying to understand it, there's gonna still be more. So that's why when people say, oh, you're expert at this, I feel like, no, don't call me that. I'm just somebody as curious as you are, and I've been studying it for a long time. But the more I study it, the more, fascinating it becomes, and the more I realize how much I don't know.
And so what's the difference like? Because you talk about intelligent hydration.
Yeah.
So like, what does that mean? Explain that. Because look, a lot of us, we have no idea the difference between one water and another water. I mean, you're thirsty, you go grab a water. And matter of fact, I had lunch with the guy yesterday, and we were at this place, and there was this big cabinet of waters. And I was thinking about you, by the way, just FYI, because I knew I had the podcast. I'm like, what water do I get? There's like 40 different waters. And I'm like, which one would Tracy approve of?
Yeah.
And I didn't know which one. So what's the difference between waters intelligent versus, dumb water?
That is a really, really good question. So that's a question that everybody should be asking. I don't like the word should. It could. We have the opportunity to ask that question. And I feel like I don't know about you, but growing up, what I learned was make sure the water's clean, right? So you want to make sure it's purified. Every time I saw purified as a child, I was like, okay, this is good water. I mean, this is what I should be drinking. Until one day, when I was pregnant for my first daughter, I could not quench my thirst. It was like this, it became an obsession. If water wasn't around me, I would get anxious because I was thirsty all the time. And it didn't matter what water, how much water I was drinking, I couldn't quench my thirst. All my blood panels and pathology was coming back normal. So it wasn't showing any signs of gestational diabetes or anything that they could pinpoint. And so I just kept drinking water. And we had a water filtration system at home, and it was a reverse osmosis system. And the more water I drank, the more thirsty I became. So then I started buying different waters, and I started getting like spring waters. And I noticed that when I was drinking these artesian spring waters with minerals in them, I was quenched for longer. When I would drink purified water, it almost made me thirstier. Or like the waters on the market, like a Dasani or something, where it's like, yeah, it's purified and it has these minerals in it that, say that it's for taste or whatever, I would get thirstier.
Right.
And so then I started to wonder, like, whoa, what is this? Not all water's the same. And I haven't been told this. Like this is, I haven't been taught this. And so I started to research on the internet, and this is what, in 2025. So there wasn't a lot about water and minerals back then. And so then I just started to research more, and I realized that I had a mineral imbalance. There was a simple mineral imbalance in my body, but I almost lost my daughter. We had to have an emergency cesarean at 35 weeks because she had like 2.5 centimeters of amniotic fluid. There was like, my whole body was just dry. And the water wasn't getting where it needed to go. It wasn't getting into my cells, just passing through me because of this mineral imbalance. And so then I saw this great opportunity to really start learning about water and educating people on the fact that not all water is the same. We need different waters at different times of our life, different water, different times of day. Yeah, we can talk about all the details about water.
Wait. Let me just stop you right there. So you're telling me that we need different waters at different times of the day?
Yeah, we could definitely benefit from different waters. At different
okay, you got to explain this to me, because I'm really lost now.
Yeah, well, it can feel confusing. And it's something that we're still learning about. I have a mentor and a dear friend. Her name is Rumiana Senkova. She's a double PhD in studying at the university, or teaching at the University of Kobe in Japan. And she started a new science called aqua photomics. So learning about how light interacts with water. And what she says is that the frequencies determine the structure of the water. And the structure is everything. The structure is the messaging in the water that's going to be signaling to your body different things that your body is going to be doing, and activations that happen in your body biologically. So if you put your glass of water in the sunlight in the morning, that sunlight that's coming in, that morning sun, is going to send a message to this water that's going to help your body wake up and get activated for the day. There's going to be frequencies in this water that are imprinted that help your body do what it needs to do. And so that's what aquaphotomics helps us understand. We can look at the frequencies, and then there's it's almost like a map. It looks like a map that determines all the frequencies together. And then she has this algorithm that helps you understand what the water's doing, what the structure is based on the frequencies.
Well, I totally, I mean, that I get. I get that now. That's a really great explanation because, I believe in frequencies. I believe all we are is energy. I believe that, obviously the law of attraction is real, and a lot of it has to do with the way we think, the way we're bringing in energy, and of course, making sure we're on the right frequencies. So totally get you. Totally get you. So now, so we should really put our water out in the sunlight, and then, like, how long do we leave it out there? I mean, do we leave it out there for 10 minutes or 20 minutes? Or I know they're still studying it, but you gotta,
Not long. You
because
really don't need.
because I know people are thinking in their mind. First of all, people are thinking this is crazy. And, people are thinking that, come on, it's just water. I put it in my filter and it comes out and it's clean and it's good and I'm alive and I'm okay. But is this like, do you feel that water is on some levels? I mean, if you're just drinking, like say you just go and you get a Dasani or something like that, right out of the thing at the grocery store or something like that, and you drink it, like, what is it doing to you? Is it hurting you? Is it just not helping you? Do we just stay the same? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think from what I can see is that water is something we want it to hydrate us, but it's also water's a conduit for almost every biological process that happens in our body. So we need water, and our body is very intelligent. Our cells are so intelligent that they know what to do with the water, whether we're drinking crap water or really good, highly intelligent water. Our body knows what to do. It filters the water. Our body knows how to filter it. Knows how to make the chemistry exactly what our body needs. If it needs to, it'll pull minerals from our body in order to make this water the way that it needs to be. It's structuring the water. It's doing all of the things, but it's very taxing on our body to have to filter it, to structure it. It's taking a lot of energy. And sometimes, maybe the body's determining that this energy isn't worth it at that moment and it's just flushing it through. So it's depending on what's happening in your biological system at that moment. But whether you're drinking crap water or not, your body's going to take what it needs to survive. But we don't want to just survive. We want to thrive. And also we care about having succinct thoughts, right? If your brain's even 2% dehydrated, you're going to have cognitive decline in how you're thinking, and there's going to be neuroinflammation. Your body is going to be inflamed if it's dehydrated, and all inflammation is connected with disease. So I don't want to be in a disease state. I want to be in a healthy state. And the way that I can help optimize my health and reduce inflammation is by staying hydrated. So I could be drinking water that's not really good for me, and my body will know what to do with it. But how about if we have a choice, which we do, most of us, in America at least, we have a choice in what water we want to drink. So if I'm at the grocery store, I'm going to look at the back of the label and I'm going to determine where was it sourced from? So most of the time, if it says filtered water, we know that came from some municipal system that's probably been filtered and, been put through some chemical process and then maybe remineralized.
I mean, do they put chemicals in our water? Like when they filter it and they do, like in a municipal process, like you said, I mean, are they putting actual chemicals inside of the water and then they're bottling it with those chemicals in the water, even though they don't show that on the bottle, right? The bottle just says filtered, or the bottle just says water, or whatever. Like, is that?
Well, you don't know. I mean, because filtered,
know.
You don't know. How was it filtered? Was it a carbon filter? What type of chemicals were in the water in the municipal system? Unless you test it, you really don't know.
Right.
If you get a mineral water, it's usually going to tell you on the back, it has this amount of magnesium and calcium and silica or whatever's in it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's filtered water, it might not say anything except filtered water. And so we don't really know to what extent. And also filtration systems, when you take a filter and you're putting it through these membranes, say it's a reverse osmosis, which uses these very comprehensive membranes to filter out all of the caustic chemistry. What happens is the water is taking, first of all, it's breaking the water down, taking all the minerals out of it. And then it's this what people like to call hungry water, where it's just, it doesn't have this mineral construct to it, which helps make the water a crystalline structure. And it's missing that. And so then it also has this dissonant structure that's not really coherent because of all the membrane filter that it's gone through. The water has received that information, and now it's structured in a way that is imprinted with that membrane. So when you drink this water, it's sending a message to your body that is incoherent, and it's not healing frequencies or healing message, or even a balanced set of minerals that are in the water. They're going to help create that osmotic flow so that the water can get into the cells. We want to be cellularly hydrated, not overhydrated. We want the cells to, hypertonic, that can be cancerous, but we want to be able to, our cells have a membrane where they can let toxins out, nutrition in, get enough hydration, and then the cells are also in this beautiful crystalline structure. Dr. Thomas Cowan wrote this book about cancer, and he was saying that he really believes that cancer starts when the cells start to liquefy, that coherent structure inside the cell starts to liquefy, and then the cells can't communicate as effectively. And so they're losing that cellular communication. And so many things like not drinking good water, also non-native electromagnetic frequencies, those are deeply dehydrating and liquefying the internal structure of the cell. And this is what he says in his book. And I really think that he's onto something there. Still needs to be uncovered and tested more, but I think he could really, there could be something that is to pay attention to here.
What a conversation about water. Never thought that I could talk this long about water, but I'm excited and I'm learning and I'm getting better. And so you grew up, I want to just kind of, change courses just a bit here. I want to talk about mindset and just, how because you grew up in a missionary home. Number one, I want to know what that means. And number two, tell me how that, has impacted your life and, your course of your life.
Well, we like to say, there was this term in my home when we grew up, Jesus Christ, beans and rice, like you don't have much, but you've got Jesus and you got a lot of love, and that's all you need, So my dad was a missionary pastor. He started out in Costa Rica in Central America with my mom before I was born, doing missionary work with a mission organization, and then came back to Portland, Oregon, to go to Western Seminary. He got his master's of divinity there, and then felt like God was calling him to work with migrant workers. We moved to Salinas, California when I was a baby, and there was many people, like it was called the salad bowl capital of the world, because a lot of migrant workers would come and they would work in the fields, but they didn't speak English, and they would just work there so that they could go back to Mexico and bring money back for their families. And so my dad had a ministry with them, and it was all in Spanish. I didn't know Spanish, but we had a little church, and we would go door to door, knocking on people's doors, and we would go to different countries. My dad sent me to Guatemala and Costa Rica when I was 15 to go on a mission trip and shadow a surgeon there in an indigenous village for the summer. So I got some really awesome opportunities, and that's what really opened my heart up to this awareness that we're so lucky to be able to open up the tap and have water that we can drink. Because when I went to Guatemala, the village I was in, people were dying daily. They would have a village ceremony of a funeral for the person that died. And I remember asking, why are so many people dying? And they said, oh, the water's contaminated here. And I was shook. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I drank out of the tap as a kid and I didn't die.
Yeah.
So we talk about,
I drank a lot of hose water.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I
me
lived
too.
on hose water when I was a little kid, but yeah.
So we talk about chemicals in water and we think, okay,
Yeah.
that's bad, but really it can be good in the short term to protect you from these pathogens that can kill you.
Right.
But then in the long term, when you build up these chemicals in your body, they're also killing you slowly.
Right.
So, you know, there's a catch-22, because if these people in this village would have known about chlorine, they could have
Right.
wiped all of that out in an instant. You know, just a little bit of chlorine can really help. But in the long term, it's not good for us. So if we have a choice, like we do here in America, I can choose a beautiful artesian spring water, or I can take water that's from the tap, filter it, break it down, and then build it back up with a coherent set of minerals, vortex it to help structure and bring living frequencies back into it to mimic nature. So now when I drink this water, it helps so that the physics of it, the structure of it, is helping to get into my cells easier. And there's a mineral balance in it that is that's like my own body's chemistry. So our body, if you look at our blood plasma, the way it should look, the profile is identical to what the plasma of the ocean looks like. So those minerals and the way that they're balanced are identical to the way that my blood plasma should look. So our blood plasma, the liquid in our body, is not filtered. It's not, I mean, it's not like without minerals. Like if I filtered water, that's not the same as my own body's chemistry. So my body has to work hard to make it so that it resonates. So when we learn
I
these
get it.
things, huh?
I said, I get it. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So if you were at that restaurant yesterday and you're looking at the water and it says filtered water, well, I would first of all say that's out. Forget that one.
That's no good.
Just to make it easier, why don't I choose something that nature made, that God made, that went through minerals and rocks, and it has these natural minerals to it, that was in the sun and the moon and receiving these frequencies from that light. There's movement happening, it was being vortexed in the earth, and so that it has these living frequencies that tell my body that it's alive. And sometimes we need to activate that too. Like if that water's been sitting in a bottle like this and it's been still for a while, even though it had been moving in nature, we want to just like move it, shake it up. Water
Gotcha.
move in these ways, like vortexing it loves it. So kind of like homeopathy, you know how you activate the homeopathic medicine? You hit it on the edge of your hand and you activate it. Well, that's the same thing with water. You want to just like move it around. You could get a spoon and you could stir it. So you get a bottle of water that's from some beautiful natural source and stir it with a spoon. That helps.
Well, you know what I keep thinking in my mind. I was thinking about this earlier too. It's amazing because I remember hearing a study about flowers, and if they played music to the flowers would grow better. Flowers that listen to classical music, because of the frequencies of the sound and everything, it actually helped the plants grow better. And versus a plant just sitting there all by itself, or maybe rock music, or really, terrible negative music or whatever. And that plant didn't do so well. And so I feel like what you're saying, and maybe I'm completely off base, but I feel like what you're saying is water is living, water is living. And so if water is good, to begin with, it's going to be better for our bodies, for our systems, for just how we activate as human beings, our brains. I mean, good water and being hydrated, like you said, I mean, it helps all the cells of your body, and it also helps us to be smarter. It helps us to be more alive. I mean, I try to make sure that in the morning I drink a lot of water in the morning. I try to make sure that, and it's amazing how I feel more alive for the rest of the day. I feel more energized versus, I mean, I do drink coffee maybe 3 times a week. And then the other 4 times I usually do like water and a B12 powder or something like that kind of gives me energy, some sort of energy, B12, like vitamins and stuff like that. And it's just amazing how water can radically change the way we feel. And so is any of that making sense for you?
Oh, absolutely. You're right on. Yeah. Water is going to change the way we feel. And the interesting thing is we're going about our days and we're so busy most of the time that we really don't stop to tune in and think, wow, how did I feel when I drank this bottle of water as opposed to that bottle of water? I mean, I could put 5 different spring waters in front of you. And if you really took time to just sit there, absorb it, take a sip, see how it feels going down your throat, how it feels in your body, you're going to feel a difference between all of those and how it impacts your body. But it's taking the time to actually tune in to what your body's telling you. And a lot of people are so disconnected from their body and the signaling and what our body's telling us. So I really encourage you to take time. In Ayurvedic medicine, they say you should only drink water sitting down, not standing up. That it hydrates you better sitting down, hydrates better at room temperature. And I think that there's a lot there. And I think a lot of it can just be mindfulness too, really having gratitude for the water.
I read that your daughter Grace, she had some challenges. How did that impact you as a young mom? Um, can you talk about that?
Yeah. So when my daughter was 2.5, well, first of all, she was preemie. And then when she was 2.5, she had a set of immunizations. And the day that she got the immunization, she got this really bad fever. And a couple days later, her hair just started falling out, and it was like coming out in chunks
Wow, wow.
until she had lost all of her hair. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. And kept taking her to different doctors. And I mean, I flew her to doctors all around the world to try to figure out what's happening with my child. And then we finally did some chelation, and we found out that she had mercury. There was a lot of mercury in her system. And through that, I realized, oh my gosh, well, they preserved these immunizations in thimerosal. So then it made sense. It was like, oh, that's why right after she had the vaccinations, all of a sudden she's getting this fever and her hair's falling out, and she had autoimmune. She got Hashimoto's thyroid. Her thyroid her TSH levels were through the roof and then really low and back and forth. And she was really lethargic. She got dark circles under her eyes, really tired. Her hair was falling out. There was a lot of things happening that were just really disheartening. And so we just started working with her, remineralizing her body and working on a lot of different ways to help upgrade her health. But her struggle and her story really helped me go back into that passion of wanting to understand our bodies at a different level than what I had learned in the allopathic route to medicine. So when I was pre-med, I felt like, okay, we're learning all this stuff about, I hadn't gone into medicine yet. You got to go into medical school to learn about medicine. But in pre-med, you're learning a lot about the body, biology, chemistry, physics, and then through spending time with this doctor in Guatemala, I was able to learn the way that the I guess more allopathic way to medicine, and it didn't feel like it resonated with me. It felt like, oh gosh, I don't really want to be cutting people open or giving vaccinations. And so I pulled back from that. But when my daughter got sick, I realized, there's far more to learning about the body than learning about medicine. How about or medicine the way that we make it here in America?
Right.
How about
Right.
frequency medicine? How about food is medicine? How about
Mm-hmm.
our thoughts and
Yeah,
our
totally.
words?
Totally.
And there's so much more, right?
Right.
So then I
Right.
got excited again about the opportunity, and I went back to school to learn about herbs
So
and
what'd you think? What'd you think about all this 2020 COVID vaccinations, all that stuff? Because I'll just, and everybody knows I didn't get vaccinated, and I completely from day one, I was like, this is bullshit. And again, I don't even know your stance on it. So I could be completely, but I'm just telling you my truth. I literally in 2020, I was telling everybody it was bullshit. I said, stop wearing masks because you're actually cutting off your air, and that's not good to cut off air. And if you're healthy already, you're going to be just fine. And nobody that was healthy around me, that were healthy to begin with, obviously, if you were deathly ill or you had diabetes or you were, incredibly overweight, obviously you got issues, or you're 80, you got issues, you got to stay inside, quarantine, do whatever you have to do. But if you're young and you're healthy and you're going to the gym, I mean, how could they close down gyms when gyms are a part of what keeps us healthy? I mean, it didn't make any sense to me. So I want your take on it, Miss Hydration.
well, I think that it was very polarizing during that time, right? So
Totally.
people were getting very upset. And why do people get anger? Anger is a secondary emotion to fear, right? So the basis is people are very afraid. And there was a lot of fear mongering going on. And I'm with you on that from the beginning. My kids and I, we had a conversation as soon as the day everything shut down. We're like, we're not going to be following a narrative. There's a narrative out here that wants to put fear in our hearts. And we don't lead with fear, we lead with love. And what's the best way that we can love ourselves and love others? And a big way to love yourself is, and your body, and take care of your body, is by all of those things in nature, getting sunlight, grounding, getting good sleep, yes, getting fresh air, also community. That's what in my book Hydrate, it has the 9 pillars of health, and one of the pillars is connected community. When you take people away from their community is immunity. If we don't have community, we're not going to thrive. And so a lot of the things that we were being told to do really went against.
They shut down churches. They
Yeah.
shut down churches. Like, when in America could you ever imagine? I mean, the whole point of us being here is because of religious freedom as Americans. That's the only reason why we're Americans, is because of a little bit of taxes, and then a lot of religious freedom is what people were coming here for. And for them to shut down a church and take pastors to jail,
Yeah.
because they're standing out in the parking lot trying to speak the word of God. And it's unbelievable to me that this could happen. I mean, what did your dad say when this was going on? I mean, what was he like? Was he, not happy about that? I mean, did he have any thoughts about that? I'm just curious.
Well, you go back and forth. I think he went back and forth in his mind a little bit. He was always we were on board as a family, and the same thing. Like, we're going to still see each other. We're not going to sit here and wear masks when we don't need to. Obviously, we were forced to when we went in public, but we weren't wearing masks around our house or anything
Right.
like that.
Or driving in your car all by yourself.
No,
Some
we
people
were
drive
not.
in their car by themselves and they wear masks. I mean,
We were only wearing it. We
unbelievable.
were forced to do it, really, because I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many toxins inside of those masks.
Right.
But
Right.
anyways, I have compassion too for people that everyone did what they felt was best, right? And
Right.
there was such a strong narrative pushing people to be afraid, that there was so much compassion I had for people too that were doing that, because I realized like they're scared. And what do you do when you're scared? But being scared is no way to live.
No, absolutely
it
not.
really saps our vitality for life. And we don't need to live in that fear. We want to be smart. We want to be wise, live our lives educated and with wisdom, but not living by fear when there wasn't enough information. And then also with these vaccines coming out the way they were pushed out so quickly without enough testing and understanding. I mean, I'm the type of person, when someone's trying to make me afraid and push something on me, I will definitely pause and be like, wait a minute. No, we don't do anything.
You're too smart for that. Yeah.
We don't do this. There's something off. It doesn't feel coherent in my body, and I don't have peace. And if I don't have peace, that doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. It just means it's okay to take a pause and stop and say, this doesn't feel good right now. So I'm going to take a step back and acquiesce. My daughter Grace is a great example. She taught me that when she was a little baby, because she was a preemie, I didn't feel comfortable with her getting all those vaccines all at once. And I told the doctor before they gave the vaccines, I was only 25 when they gave her these vaccines. And I told the doctor, I don't feel comfortable with doing this. And since I was young and I didn't have a medical degree, the doctor got very aggressive with me. She was actually yelling at me so much that there was a little bit of spit on my face. And
that was healthy.
She said I was a very wasn't a good mother to not want to give her the vaccines, because if she didn't have them, she could get all these like polio and diseases that would be my fault. And I had fear inside of me, because you want to do the best for your little baby. You want to make sure that you're giving them the absolute best and not making a decision that's going to harm them. And in that moment, based on fear, I went against what my gut was telling me, and I allowed them to vaccinate her in that moment. And I forever regret that, because I chose fear over love. And I made a promise to myself after that I will never, ever again make a decision out of fear. When something feels off, I will always allow myself the space to take a step back and to allow the peace of God to penetrate my heart and to make a choice from that space, not from a space of fear. So when everything came back in 2020 with all of the COVID stuff, my heart just felt not at peace with everything that was happening. It was all happening so fast. And I said, no, this does not make sense. This is not feeling peace in my body, and I am not going to allow this narrative to be pushed on me. I need to go with what feels right inside of me, and also respect what other people feel too, because I understood like there's fear, and when someone's afraid, we need to respect that and allow them to do what they need to do too. But
I just think, I think what you're saying, well, first of all, well said. Everything you said was right on. And I feel like it's just really sad that it's all about money. I mean, let's just be honest, right? I mean, they're going to fear monger people that are good people, because we're good people. We don't want to hurt our kids. We don't want to, hurt our parents. We don't want to die. We don't want, nobody wants that. But for these evil corporations, these pharma corporations, to be pushing vaccines that they know, and we know that it was all bullshit, because they wouldn't allow you to sue if something went wrong. So I mean, in any other medicine, that you're given, if they screw up, if they give, if you take a Tylenol and the Tylenol kills you, you go sue Tylenol, or you sue wherever, they're not going to allow you to sue on the vaccine, because they know that it was experimental. So they're literally, all these people were guinea pigs. And you're seeing so many people affected, myocarditis. I mean, so many different illnesses and diseases and challenges. And it's just, to me, to give a little kid that's totally healthy, that's outside building their immune system, all this stuff, to give them a vaccine, that was just so sad to do that. It's all because of money. The lady, your doctor, when you were 25, she's pushed by, she's motivated by money. So she's going to make a decision, not based on what's right for your health, but based on a money play. And that's, to me, that's the most disheartening part of it. And so, but hey, look, I mean, we could talk about this for the next 3 hours, I'm sure. I really appreciate you coming on and having this little conversation with me. It's the hydration hour here, and I love it. And I learned so much from you. But I know you have a book, and you are a speaker, all over the place. You have a great Instagram. Tell us about where we can get a hold of you, how we can connect with you, how we can get your book. I know it's on Amazon. So tell us about you and how we get in touch.
Yeah, so the best place is through my website or Instagram. My website, tracyduhs.com, TRACYDUHS. The book is being sold exclusively there right now. It's nowhere else, just on my website. And if you order it now, because it's a pre-launch, it's not like fully launched, so you can't get it in bookstores, anything like that. I wanted to pre-launch it just to my community first, so they could experience it, get the feedback, and then fully launch the book. So if you do want to order it, I made it like a lifestyle book. It looks like a coffee table book. The cover's black and white, and it's something that you'd feel proud to put on your coffee table or give as a gift to a friend. And it's just filled with like recipes and lifestyle tips on how to upgrade your cellular system. But I make it fun and playful, and it's just, how to upgrade your health without it being a job. It's like, it's a joy. It's fun. Let's make health fun. Because if we make it fun, then we're going to want to do it. We're going to be excited. We'll be motivated to do these things. So that's why I wrote the book. And I'm very active on Instagram. I post things almost every day, just little tips on hydration that you may not have ever heard before. I interview different scientists from around the world. I spend my life now traveling the world, meeting new scientists and learning about things that we never thought we knew about hydration. So you can find me on Instagram at Tracy Duhs as well.
Well, we appreciate you so much. And my audience, what they're going to do is they're going to reach out to you. Your Instagram is Tracy DUHS, correct?
And it's TRACY.
TRACY. Okay. And then DUHS. And make sure that you guys, my audience, everybody watching, listening, you're going to go and say hi to Tracy. You're going to say, "What's up? Thank you for coming on Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo." And so that way we can start, merging some communities here and start helping some people in all areas of their life. Health is number one for sure. But wealth is a piece of the puzzle too. So we want to get a little bit of everything. And so with somebody like you giving us this wealth of knowledge, there's no question we can get there so much better and so much faster. Tracy, again, thank you so much. For everybody that watched and listened, thank you so much for your time and your energy. As always, make sure that you continue to dream bigger than ever. Make sure that you get after it, and most importantly, do it now. God bless you. We will see you at the top.